All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Just a quick reminder that lines are open, so we can have active discussion today. But if you have any background noise or need to step away for a minute, please feel free to mute your lines. I appreciate all of you joining this month's Convergence HQIC Patient Family Engagement for Equity Think Tank. My name is Lindsay Galley. I'm the Vice President of Programs at PFCC Partners, or Patient and Family Center Care Partners. We've been partnering with the Convergence HQIC to really bring patient-family engagement for equity as a strategy to life in all of the improvement activities that have been going on over the past few years. Today's session, we are focusing on workforce well-being and violence prevention in an effort to align with other activities that the Convergence HQIC are putting on for hospital participants around this topic. We every month have a different topic that we present, and really just like to make space for everyone to join and discuss and share what your hospitals are doing, ask questions, so we can help to support you in your hospital's improvement efforts. So the think tanks, again, these are really just an opportunity to connect online really quickly for 30 minutes. And really the purpose is for shared learning. So I encourage all of you to get active, share things that your hospital is doing, ask questions of others as well. And in that shared learning spirit, I invite you all to put in the chat just a quick introduction, introducing yourself, who you are, your role, what hospital you're from, and would love to see if you have any exciting summer plans coming up. I love to see all the adventures people are going on. So if you'd like to do a quick introduction in the chat, that would be great. These think tanks are open to anyone within your hospitals that are focused on patient-family engagement, or team members who are engaging patients and families in improvement work, or really anyone with just a desire to share and learn effective strategies with one another. These take place on the second Wednesday of the month. Same time, same place. So our next think tank will be on Wednesday, June 12th. So hope to see you there. And thank you, Olivia, for the chat introduction. Thanks for joining. Please keep those chat intros coming. Oh, Andrea, Noah Kahn concert in June. I love Noah Kahn. He is an awesome artist. That's really exciting. Love live music too. Awesome. All right, so moving on to our topic for today, just wanted to share a little bit of information to level set us in our conversation and help us think through, the workforce violence and workforce safety initiatives taking place within your hospitals. So I have a few stats here, one from the American Hospital Association, that overall healthcare professionals are 5 times more likely to experience workplace violence than workers in other fields. We've also seen that, over the past few years, staff shortages, increased patient morbidities, exposure to violent individuals in the absence of strong workplace violence prevention programs, and some protective regulations are all barriers to eliminating violence against healthcare workers. So put in a tough position with, the rise of workplace violence, but then all of these barriers that are taking place. And so one of the things that we've been really looking at is how workplace safety is communicated to not only staff, but the people who are coming through the doors of your hospitals, the patients, the family caregivers, their friends, their care support teams, whoever that might be. And we've kind of seen this divide in how workplace safety is messaged. So I would like you all to take a moment and just imagine that, you are a mid-30s woman bringing her 75-year-old father-in-law to the emergency room who has signs of stroke. And these are some of the signs that you see. Curious if they evoke any emotion in you, or what questions might you have about why these signs are in the waiting area. So we see signs that are promoting safety, that are inviting everyone to be a part of workplace safety. Um, Healing happens. So some real healing messages. So we've talked with patients and family caregivers about this as well. And some of the things that we hear is that it creates that invitation to ask more information about, how can I be a partner in ensuring that we have a safe workforce? Some of the stats and information, 47% of emergency department physicians report that they've been physically assaulted in the ED. Creating space for patients and family caregivers, anyone who sees these signs in your waiting rooms, to learn more about, why this is happening, and what are we doing to prevent workplace violence. And now imagine yourself in that same scenario and you are greeted with some of these signs. So, what are some of the emotions that are evoked? Are you calmer than you were when you entered? What percent of your patient population is likely to be quote unquote violent? Is that some things that you consider? And would these signs inflame or de-escalate any incidences of violence? So warnings, lots of warnings is what I'm seeing here as well, which kind of puts you on the defensive. And we've talked again with patients and family caregivers that when they see these signs, they also are fearing for their own safety as well. Is this a safe place that I should be when I see signs like this? And so we know that signage is not the only part of workforce safety and preventing workforce safety and preventing incidences of violence. One of the pieces is building awareness around workforce violence and the incidences that do take place. So providing information to patients and family caregivers about, some of those stats and how often that incidences of violence happen in your hospital, to really create some more awareness around this larger issue. And then creating an invitation. I really like this sign that promotes healing. So healing happens here. And then I don't know if you can see it too much, but under that it says, our staff is here to provide the best medical care to you and your loved ones with kindness and respect. We know it can be stressful visiting the hospital. Let us know how we can help. So creating that invitation to be a partner and, let us know if you are feeling stressed and what are some things that we can do to support you in that stressful environment. And then, speaking of environment, looking at the physical environment too. So looking beyond the signage, how are your waiting rooms set up? Are they set up in a way that does promote that healing aspect that people come to the hospital for? We recently had a conversation with patient family partners that are part of the Convergence HQIC, and one of them shared that their hospital had kind of a separate emergency room for people who, maybe didn't need ER at that particular moment. Maybe they were having some sort of mental crisis and needed a place to calm down and, recover. And so they created this separate environment for people who were going through something a little more extreme that didn't require, actual medical attention, to kind of break the space and identify those who could portray incidences of violence and put them in a more calming place where they can just take some time and recover. So that's just one example, and I'm very curious to hear from all of you. If your hospital has workforce safety initiatives and what those look like. So I have a slide up on the screen with a quick poll, and you can use your phone's camera. Open up your camera and hover it over that QR code in the top left corner, and then it will take you to this poll on Slido. And then you can click yes, no, or I'm not sure. So I'll give everyone a moment to let us know if your hospital has workforce safety initiatives. And if the poll is not working, you can also put some information in the chat as well. Okay, it looks like we have half the group that responded. So 3 of you have shared yes, that your hospital does have workforce safety initiatives, and it looks like 1 person has said no. I'll leave that up for just another minute to see if there's any other responses. All right. Well, thank you. Well, now I'd love to hear a little bit more and welcome you to come off mute to share. Oh, thank you, Andrea, for putting your comment in the chat as well. So would really love to just learn a little bit more about how workforce safety initiatives are implemented at your hospital. What does that look like? Is it signage? Are there other things that your hospital is looking at? Welcome anyone who shared yes to come off mute and share.
This is Andrea.
Hi, Andrea.
Hey, so we're in a rural hospital, a rural area, critical access hospital. So we have a lot of mental health that comes through the ED, and we ended up getting security in place for after hours, because that seems to be when they come in, and it kind of helps them feel safe to be able to know that someone's there if they need them. We do have signage as well, just kind of says that, you know, it's not tolerated.
Great. That sounds like, it sounds like maybe you looked at some of the stats and when incidences of violence were happening, and if they are late at night, you can implement some additional security measures at that time. So added security sounds like it's supporting those patients to get into your hospital safely as well. Thank you for sharing. Any others?
Hi, it's Olivia here.
Hey, Olivia.
Hey, we kind of do the same thing. As far as security, we do have 24-hour security. We have signage, and we also offer, like it's called the MAPS class. It's like managing aggressive patient situations. We offer that. You can choose to do like a 4-hour course, and then we also, it's required yearly. I still think I'm trying to see if there's different things we can do, because especially our ER staff, I think that it's kind of becoming an issue for them, and to learn ways to prevent it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question for you, Olivia and Andrea. is, you know, with the added security, do you see any of those incidences of violence lowering at all? But it sounds like, Olivia, that especially for the ER, that those incidences are still happening, or they're still having a challenging time with some of the patients.
I'll be honest. I mean, it may be helping,
Mhm.
but I can't really see a difference in just as far as, the numbers we trend. And we actually had a discussion with the emergency nurses maybe about a month ago. And
Mhm.
they said that, workplace violence was an issue. And so we encouraged them, to write up these incidences. So
Mhm.
we trend it, and they have been doing it. So truthfully, we've probably actually seen an increase. And this is after the signs have been placed and we have the MAPS class and
Mhm.
security.
But now it's being reported on, it sounds like, so you're
Yes.
actually seeing more.
Right.
Right. That's really interesting. But now you will be able to have some data around it, you know, what these incidences look like when they're happening. And potentially that will give you some more information to develop new ideas around implementing, you know, some more workplace safety initiatives to better meet the actual incidences that are happening.
It seems like most of our reported, incidents is verbal aggression. Granted, there are some physical,
Mhm.
aggression reported, but most of it is verbal. Um, Patients and family members, just want to scream at the nurses, kind of.
Mhm. It's unfortunate. Yeah. Definitely unfortunate. And it's hard too because, you know, on one side you want to provide the care and respect for the patients as staff members, but when you're put in some of those more uncomfortable situations, it becomes difficult. And then, you know, on the other side, when patients are in extreme pain or are going through a really stressful situation, um, yeah, sometimes it's almost bound to happen with the anxiety, the stress, the pressure, all of that that people are going through. But I love to hear, you know, uh, classes and trainings that, you know, support that de-escalation of incidences like that. Yeah, I'd just be curious to then see the other side, you know, how that really helps the nursing staff de-escalate certain situations.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Olivia.
Mhm.
I see Jennifer in the chat, also a rural critical access hospital. They have signage and added security at night. And in addition, the local police department has an officer who comes in and performs active violence emergency response training. That sounds really interesting. Jennifer, would you mind coming off mute and sharing a little bit more about what that training looks like? Or you could put it in the chat if you're not at a place to come off mute. Awesome.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Had to close the office door.
Oh, that's okay.
The AVERT training is, we have an officer who's got special training to be able to hold these classes, and he does it in schools as well. So it's just basically how to respond in a emergency or
Mhm.
violent situation. So anyway.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you know if, you know, since implementing that training, how helpful it has been to staff?
You know, I don't get a whole lot of reports
Mhm.
on issues. So we haven't actually had one since the training happened. At least
Mhm.
nothing that's been reported to me. So
Oh, great. Okay.
right.
Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I appreciate that. That's a great resource. I'm curious if anyone on like whether in these trainings or Olivia, the MAPS trainings that you presented, or or shared about, or you know, implementing additional security. If any of you either have patient family advisory councils or have talked to patients and family caregivers who are at your hospital about some of these implementations to promote workforce safety, if there have been any conversations to hear the patient and family caregiver perspective about you know, what the hospital is doing to prevent violence.
We do not have a patient family advisory council at this time. I am new to my role in quality. So that is something that is on my list to look into how to get something like that going. But at this time, we don't have anything like that at our hospital.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And Jennifer, you're in the right place and talking to the right person. So as you move forward on that journey, I would be happy to connect with you and help support you through the process of developing partnerships with patients and family caregivers, whatever that might look like for your hospital. That's kind of our bread and butter, and where we help support hospitals in creating patient family engagement strategies. And I know that can be kind of a big question for all of you. I think it's a new way to think about workforce safety is also, you know, how are these initiatives that are being implemented, and how is the signage that is being posted impacting the patient and family caregiver population? So would just encourage you, you know, it can be as small as just hosting a town hall or a listening session and creating an open invitation for patients and family caregivers to come and just have a conversation around workforce safety, share what the hospital is currently doing, ask how that is impacting them, their reactions to what they're seeing at your hospital, and then potentially moving forward, generating some conversations around new ideas that they might have from their a little bit more unique perspective, being a patient or a family caregiver at your hospital. So something to consider. You know, Olivia, I hear you in trying to continue to support the nursing staff, especially in the ER, and thinking about some of those new and different ways that they can be supported. So conversations like that may just open the door to new ideas, or even just a broader perspective of how patients and family caregivers are receiving some of this information, and some of the workforce safety initiatives that are being implemented. And if you're ever considering that, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to walk you through, you know, how to set up a listening session or a town hall, and what invitations look like, what kind of questions might you want to ask as well. So great. And I think I bring that up, of course, because this is the Patient Family Engagement for Equity think tank. But also on that discussion I was talking about earlier that we were having with patient family partners, one had shared that their hospital ER was looking to implement a canine within their emergency room that would continuously patrol their ER. And the advisory council at this hospital was consulted on the idea of having a canine present, and it was an overwhelming, I don't think that would be a really good idea for a variety of reasons. But it sounded like the hospital was still going to move forward with testing having a canine in their emergency room. So that's just another lesson learned, that if you're going to ask for input and insight from patient family partners to really move forward on what the actual patients and family caregivers are responding to you and sharing with you in those types of discussions. we've had some really interesting discussions around this topic, and I think these will continue. As I mentioned, there will be an upcoming workforce well-being and violence prevention series taking place in Convergence, HQIC. So you'll see lots of invitations and information around that. Our team will be co-hosting one of the webinars within the series that really focuses on putting patients and family caregivers into focus around this topic as well. So we'll definitely have some more conversations and more information around this specific topic. And I have one last question here. It looks like I know a few of you have mentioned it, but what type of messaging does your hospital use to promote workforce safety? I think Andrea, you had mentioned some messaging around, violence will not be tolerated. Jennifer, you had mentioned there's signage as well. Just curious what that messaging looks like also, looking at those two different forms of messaging in the beginning of our session today.
The ones that we have here that I've seen are just kind of straightforward. It doesn't have like the first bunch that you had that like about the caring and things like that. It's just more like this just will not be tolerated, that you need to be respectful kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's pretty standard from what we've seen from a lot of the hospitals that we've been talking to and around their signage. And yeah, I just think we've seen so many examples of different ways to communicate that this is a non-violent area and it won't be tolerated. So really just more so curious as to how different hospitals are messaging that. So thank you for sharing that. Any others? Oh, Dara, we have the Louisiana law posted throughout our campus about violence against healthcare staff. Yeah, I think there was one example. Sorry, I'm going all the way back. Oh, it's right here. Yeah. Abuse of or workplace violence against healthcare staff will not be tolerated and can result in a felony conviction under the law. Yep, that's the one. We have the right one. Yeah, so there's definitely different ways to go about that messaging. And I think some messages resonate differently for different people. And that's why we just encourage your hospitals to open the door and have the conversation with people who are accessing your hospitals to really see, what sticks. Uh, as I have mentioned a few times in previous conversations, someone had said, is a sign really going to prevent someone from having a violent episode? So that's why we really also want to think beyond the signage and what other influences are taking place within the hospital environment, whether it's other patients and family caregivers, their proximity to each other, or anything else that could be influencing these instances of violence. Oh, and Jennifer shared they also referenced the state law prohibiting violence against healthcare workers. So thank you for sharing that. And I realize we are already at our 30 minutes. These really fly by. I say that every time. I really appreciate all of you for joining to share, whether you're just listening in to learn something new. Thank you, Jennifer and Olivia and Andrea, for sharing what this looks like at your hospitals. I think we're all continuing to learn from one another, but please reach out to me if you are curious or have plans to create some conversations around this topic with your patients and family caregivers, and open the door for more experiences and new and different ideas, I'd be happy to chat with you. So my email's right there. Feel free to reach me whenever you would like. And with that, I'll stay on for a few minutes if there are any other questions, but I wish you all a very great day. Enjoy it. Enjoy your day. And we have recorded this session, so we will share the recording in the follow-up, and then the slide deck as well with some of those signage examples also. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your quick 30 minutes today and won't keep you any longer. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your day.